I'm estranged from my father simply because he married the mother of the girl who was bullying me when we were 8 years old. He was my only parent and hugely let me down, and I will never forgive him for subjecting me to being family with someone who mistreated me like that. Even though it did eventually get better, I will never ever claim her as my family, and I made sure I cut all legal ties. I had 2 family members adopt me when I turned 18. My father never understood my anger at him or why I refused to try at least to make a family with them. He's close with his boss, and I was in town visiting some family and he saw me. He recognized me from a few years ago and mentioned how he hoped I could attend the next family day at their job. I said that wouldn't be possible as I have no contact with my father. He was stunned. He asked what happened and mentioned my sister. I told him she was not my sister and was my bully before my dad married her mom, and that he married this woman knowing her child was bullying me. I told him that made our relationship unsustainable. He apologized and said he had no idea. Apparently, he later confronted my father outside of work and was like, "How could you never say anything, and what kind of father are you?" Word is now spreading around people my father knows and works with. He tore into my family members who adopted me, who were his family members. Then he emailed my very old email account saying I had no right to spill such personal business to his boss, and it was petty and childish and showed I had no decorum. Am I the idiot? Edit. I had to go 2 years living with the girl who bullied me. They did eventually put a stop to it when I was 10, but from 8 to 10 I had to live with and go to school and be in the same class as the girl who bullied me since kindergarten. My dad even expected me to be her sister. He said this while she was still actively bullying me. He was not a good father to me. To her, sure, not to me. Some of the worst things were her calling me names, cutting my hair, and using my period to humiliate me in school. Not the idiot. You were asked a question and you answered honestly. If your father is so ashamed for people to know the truth, he needs to reflect upon that and his choices. Your father was an idiot. You're not obligated to hide that from the world. Sorry, but you are the idiot. You're an adult and you're holding on to a grudge against an 8-year-old child so strongly that you felt entitled to bring your dad's boss into decade-plus-old drama in response to a polite comment. There is absolutely no reason to do that unless you wanted there to be negative social repercussions for your father. There were so many ways you could have handled this situation honestly without it being so incredibly awkward. We aren't close, we don't keep in touch, etc. This is clearly something that's still actively bothering you to the point that you're still lashing out when you're reminded of it. You need to seek therapy and work on this. You're letting the actions of a kid poison your adult life. Regardless of what anyone else did or did not do at this point, you're the idiot for not doing better for yourself and your mental health. Read OP's edit. The stepsister, name called, blasted her for starting her period, cut her hair with scissors, and bullied her badly until they were 10 and living in the same house. Dad wanted them to be a family and for her to put up with it. He was a crappy father who took away OP's safe place so he could mess around. The boss asked a question and OP answered truthfully. She didn't give unnecessary details as everything she disclosed was relevant to the question. Also, screw decorum. If someone mistreats you, you are under no obligation to hide their behavior so they can save face with people. I've actually been kinder to my enemies than estranged relatives because family is supposed to love you and not put you in harmful situations. Exactly. Stepsis cut OP's hair, which is well beyond normal bullying. I don't love that OP dragged Dad's professional life into it, but damn, what kind of father puts the actual safety of their child second? That's a very profound parenting failure. I find it amusing that the man who knowingly brought their daughter's bully into her family called her out on decorum. His getting reamed by his boss and the truth being spread across town are the consequences of his actions. My friend moved in with me and my toddler a couple of months ago with her toddler and cat. She's mostly only here when she has her kid, but on the days the kid is with her dad, my friend is hardly ever here and is over at her boyfriend's house. She does come to ensure the litter is cleaned and the cats, because I have a cat too, are fed before she leaves, but she's never here. It was an entire month of her leaving the house right after getting home from work, spending some time with the cat, then going straight to her boyfriend's. Most nights she doesn't even sleep here. She was starting to leave when I asked her if she was going to her boyfriend's. She said yes, then grabbed her keys. I stopped her and said we really needed to talk about her constantly at her boyfriend's. She said, "What is there to talk about?" I told her I didn't appreciate her going there almost every day if she was going to live here and that there needed to be boundaries. My friend said she's there every night that she has her kid and only leaves when she doesn't because that's the only time she can see him. She stated that she would invite him here, but she wants to be courteous to my son and me, so she goes over there and ends up staying the night so that she isn't coming through the door very late when my son is sleeping. She asked if this was about her leaving the cat there some days and mentioned that this was not something I told her would be an issue when establishing house rules. I told her it wasn't about the cat, it was about her never or hardly being here for days at a time when she lived here. She said she wasn't going to just not see her boyfriend and didn't understand the issue, then walked away. This confused me and now I'm wondering if I might be wrong. Am I the idiot? Edit, she's also said that she shouldn't have to adjust her social life just because she moved in, but I've told her it's my house, I have rules and boundaries. She's moved into it, and I feel like she can move in with her boyfriend if this is really a problem. You are the idiot. I just read somewhere that boundaries are limits you set for yourself. Control is limits being set for others. There is no reason for you to have any control over where she spends her time. Why do you need her to be home? If you would like to spend some time with her as your friend, then you should just tell her that instead of trying to control where she spends her time. Having a roommate who's hardly home seems like a dream situation to me, unless the reason for having one is for companionship. This is bizarre. You're being a little single white female about this. It's very weird. What do you want from her? A babysitter? Did you think she only moved in to be at your beck and call every day? She has her own life and you already said the cat wasn't the problem. She's not your teenage daughter. Why does it matter if she's away from the house? It doesn't sound like she'll be your friend for much longer. Girl, she's a grown damn woman with a kid and she makes sure the cat is fed, watered and the litter box is clean. And she pays rent. What the heck is your problem? She's grown. This is not a teenager. Boundaries? What boundaries? She's not bringing him there out of courtesy, but you're still light bulb. Oh, I get it. You miss her. Then dang woman, just say that then. I am or was going to be the best man at my brother's wedding next year. My wife was invited to be a bridesmaid and she initially said yes. It turns out that the bride is now expecting my wife to get a whole new wardrobe for the bridal showers, bachelorette party, rehearsal, and reception dinner on top of her bridesmaid's dress. The only colour she's allowed to wear to all of these events is the same lavender colour as her bridesmaid dress. She was even given a few swatches of that material to take shopping with her. The shoes and makeup have to match for photos. Even pyjamas have to match. The bachelorette party is a week getaway plus all of the other events. It's like an additional 10 days of clothes my wife will never wear again. She normally wears black or dark colour clothes. I bring this up to my brother after he hands me the fabric swatches. I told him this was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. He said that's why they're giving me almost a year to get all of the items together for the bachelorette and weddings. I'm thinking of my wife's reaction because she's already not great friends with the bride. I told my brother that my wife can attend the wedding as a guest, not a bridesmaid. My brother gets mad, saying I'm upsetting his fiancée's aesthetic that she had planned. He asked for a few days of accommodation and I said no. He tells me I'm no longer his best man for this and I'm selfish for destroying his fiancée's dream wedding over a few dresses. Edit, I did discuss this with my wife. I told her afterward and she laughed, saying, hard pass. Not the idiot. It's so incredibly selfish when brides do crap like this. It's unfair to expect everyone to spend what will ultimately be thousands to try and accommodate this type of request. Your brother is being delusional. Tell him you'll catch the next one. This is nuts. Good thing you didn't take their crap. I'm 100% grateful that my husband would deal with his own family BS on my behalf and not let them use my desire to people please to put me in a situation I won't like. He knows me and knows I would hate being some lady's prop at my own expense and telling his family I'm not taking part. OP is an amazing husband, but this wedding culture is out of hand. 10 days for a bachelorette? 10? So now I also expect to use my vacation days and vacation money for your pre-wedding event as well. They're asking that you devote your entire year to them and it's so selfish. There's no room for personal vacations or getaways for the year this friend is getting married. Yeah, this is insanity to me. Do you like the people at your wedding party? What's wrong with them looking like themselves in some non-wedding pictures? Overly curated photos are boring, especially for multiple events. It's all for the socials, Instagram ridiculous. Even if the bride was going to pay for all these lavender outfits and pajamas, I'd want to avoid this. People are not dolls. I, 33 female, have a friend, Max, 34 male, who's a single dad to Ava, young grammar school age female. Ava's mom is not in the picture and gave full custody and rights to Max before she was even born. I agreed to help out Max and Ava and am very involved in her life. I will admit I used to like Max, which is mainly why I agreed, but it was just a crush and I got over it pretty soon after, but still helped out with Ava. I get on very well with Ava and she calls me her aunt. Since then, I got a more demanding job and have a fiancé who I moved in with. His place is far from Max's and I find it harder to meet up with Ava, but I still try my best to see her. Now I'm pregnant and my pregnancy is high risk. My fiancé and I agreed that I would take time off until the baby was born and would think about going back later. I currently work freelance and pick and choose what projects to take on. I told Max for the time being I'd like to reduce how often I see Ava, as I can't keep up with her in my condition. Max tried to negotiate to drop off Ava at mine, but my fiancé and I firmly said no. He works long hours and I can't be there for her one-to-one. Max and I still share the same friend group, so I'll see Ava sometimes socially, so it's not like I've cut her out of my life. Max is calling me the idiot for not helping look after Ava and saying I'm essentially abandoning her, and I've put him in the situation of explaining this to her. I feel bad for not being able to be around Ava as much, but I currently have very little energy and have stuck to my decision. Not the idiot for wanting to prioritize your family. However, I feel like you should explain this to Ava yourself. I do not care for Max. You had a crush, you moved on, and your priorities changed accordingly. That's okay. However, the girl sees you as part of her family almost, and she was used to hanging out with you. If you stop it so suddenly, she'll be heartbroken and bewildered. So at least talk with her about it and assure her that you still love her, etc. I think that would be in place, unless you didn't really love her in the first place and didn't take the whole thing just as a chore from the beginning. Imagine if a dude came on here and basically said, I became a huge part of a child's life because I was crushing on their mom and thought it would be a good way into her pants. Anyway, now it doesn't suit my lifestyle, so I've noped out of the situation and the mom is all mad. I just can't help but feel that everyone would be calling them a monster, or at the very least, they definitely wouldn't be attacking the single mom. The issue is she shouldn't have started that in the first place. There's always something that could happen, but becoming an influence on a child's life because you want to get with their parent will drop them way low on priorities. It was low-key sleazy of OP. I disagree. Max sure is an idiot. He can't drop her off, so he's telling her you abandoned her. Why can't he come over with his daughter to help out and show her what a good supportive friend does? She isn't your child. It sounds like he was using you as a babysitter and substitute parent. He then tried to guilt you into going back on your statement. Agreed. Why isn't he supporting OP in her time of need when she helped him in his time of need? Time for Max to hand down baby clothes and help OP and fiancé shop for cribs and car seats. Time for Max to come over with a drill and help fiancé tether the furniture and install child locks. Instead, what's he doing? Demanding free childcare. Probably because he knew about the crush and used it to get a free babysitter. My husband and I own our own home, so our son has lived rent-free with us after finishing college, but I think it's harmed him lately. He's 27 and has never had a job. When I suggest getting a job, he says he's worried he would be stressed at work. He always has a reason and shoots down my suggestions to work so that he gets out of the house and does something productive. Every day after I get home from work, he complains about how he doesn't have a girlfriend but refuses to try when his dad and I suggest getting a job, making friends through hobby groups, going outside more and dating apps. He spends all his time complaining about how women don't like him, although he's never tried befriending or approaching a woman. He says if women were attracted to him, they'd approach him, and cites an example of one person he knows who doesn't work and who doesn't go outside and who has a girlfriend as proof that he shouldn't need to do those things. We are at our wits' end and are considering giving him an ultimatum to pay us rent so he'll get a job. Am I the idiot? Worried he'll just become homeless because he seems to hate the idea of working, but I'm at the end of my rope. Not the idiot, but you've done him no favours by allowing him to be a bum for at least 5 years. Tell him he has 3 months to get a job or he's no longer allowed in your home. He then has 6 months after getting said job to get his own place. In the interim, tell him if he isn't willing to change anything, then he's not allowed to complain about it. Everyone's the idiot here. No offence, but there's no way your parenting hasn't directly affected or contributed to the way he's acting now. Cut off the internet for use other than job hunting. If he needs new clothes or things, tell him to learn how to mend them or find a way to acquire them himself. Stop cooking for him or even feeding him any of the special things he likes. Don't pick up after him at all, not one dish, not one sock. If he can't afford it, he can't have it. Tough love. Agreed. Also, his finding a girlfriend should be the least of his and OP's priorities. I'm also going to guess he spends an excessive amount of time online, probably playing video games and watching adult stuff. His dating attitude is extremely concerning. He feels entitled to a girlfriend without putting in any effort. Wonder why? I bet his friend's girlfriend is imaginary. I can confirm I had a 27-year-old unemployed neighbour who lived with his parents try to ask me, 22 female at the time, out. He joined me for my dog walks around the neighbourhood, which made him believe I was head over heels in love with him. My walk schedule was like clockwork, 7:30 a.m, 3:30 p.m. I was a live-in nanny, parents took over evening walks. When I kindly rejected him, he turned it around on me and said he wasn't ready for a relationship yet and that I was moving things too fast. The best part is, I just met my now partner, so the dude was flabbergasted when I told him I was seeing someone and tried for months to convince me that what we had was real and he wished things would go back to how they used to be. Even though the entire time I've been talking with him and getting to know my partner. It's been 5 years. My partner and I are happily living together and building our future together. The neighbour dude is now 32, still unemployed, and still living with his parents. It's time for some tough love, OP. It's time for him to leave the nest.